Welcome back to Firepower. For years, one claim has followed the Ruger Mini-14 everywhere it goes. You've probably heard it before. The Mini-14 can't shoot. It's inaccurate. Anything over 4 inches at 100 yards is normal. Some people go even further and say it's junk, outdated, and completely outclassed by modern rifles. Today we're putting that claim under real pressure. Not with internet arguments, not with cherry-picked photos, but with a straightforward range test, honest expectations, and no excuses. The goal isn't to crown the Mini-14 a precision legend, and it's not to tear it down either. The goal is to find the truth that nobody seems willing to admit. Let's start by talking about why this rifle is so controversial in the first place. The Ruger Mini-14 occupies a strange place in the rifle world. It looks traditional, almost harmless, with its wood stock and classic lines. It doesn't scream modern tactical rifle. At the same time, it fires .223 or 5.56, uses detachable magazines, and has served with military and law enforcement units in the past. That combination has made it both loved and hated. But the biggest criticism has always been accuracy. The internet myth goes like this: a Mini-14 cannot shoot under 4 MOA at 100 yards. Anything better is an exception, not the rule. And that reputation has stuck for decades. The question is whether that reputation is deserved or whether expectations have simply drifted too far away from what the Mini-14 was designed to be, so we decided to test it. Here are the ground rules because this matters. The rifle is a standard Ruger Mini-14 in .223, no scope, no red dot. Just the factory iron sights, no bench rest vise, no clamps, no mechanical advantage. The rifle is shot from a basic rest, the same way most people would shoot at a public range. The shooter has not spent years training on the Mini-14 platform. In fact, this is the first serious range session with this rifle. That matters because it removes familiarity bias. If the rifle is truly incapable of shooting well, that should show up immediately. The distance is 100 yards. The ammunition is standard, off-the-shelf .223. Not match grade, not hand loads, just realistic ammo that regular owners actually buy. The plan is simple. Fire 20 rounds broken into 4 5-shot groups and see what the target tells us. No cherry picking. Every group counts. The first shots immediately highlight something important. The rifle is shooting high and slightly to the right. That's not unusual with iron sights, especially when you're unfamiliar with a peep sight system. Adjustments are made by changing the hold, not by touching the sights. This alone explains why so many people struggle with the Mini-14 early on. Iron sights demand patience, and many shooters simply don't give them time. The first group is not pretty. It opens up to around 5 to 6 inches. If you stop the test right here, the internet would feel validated. See? Told you so. But stopping early is exactly how bad reputations become permanent. The second group tightens up, around 3 inches. Still not impressive by modern AR standards, but already better than the myth suggests. The shooter is learning the trigger, learning the sight picture, and settling into the rifle's rhythm. Then the third group changes the tone completely. Shots cluster tightly, roughly 2 to 2.5 inches at 100 yards with iron sights from a rifle that supposedly can't shoot. No tricks, no excuses, just fundamentals starting to line up. The fourth group lands somewhere in between. Not perfect, not terrible. Around 3 inches again. When all 4 groups are considered together, a clear picture emerges. The Mini-14 is not a 1 MOA precision rifle, but it is also not the inaccurate mess it's often described as. So why does this rifle have such a bad reputation? A huge part of the answer is iron sights. The Mini-14 uses a peep sight system that many shooters are simply not comfortable with, especially at longer distances. A tiny misalignment at the rear sight turns into inches of error at 100 yards. With a scope or red dot, those errors shrink dramatically. But most Mini-14 criticism comes from iron sight shooting, while AR-15s are almost always judged with optics. That's not a fair comparison. Another issue is expectations. Modern shooters are spoiled by affordable sub-MOA and AR-15s with free-float barrels and match triggers. When those standards are applied retroactively to a rifle that was never designed to be a bench rest gun, disappointment is inevitable. The Mini-14 was designed as a lightweight, reliable, general-purpose rifle. Think ranch rifle, not competition gun. Reliability is where the Mini-14 quietly shines. Throughout the test, the rifle runs flawlessly. No malfunctions, no feeding issues. The action cycles smoothly. The trigger is not exceptional, but it is consistent and usable. This matters because accuracy means nothing if a rifle doesn't function when it's supposed to. The Mini-14 also balances well. It points naturally. It carries easily. These qualities don't show up on paper targets, but they matter in real-world use. A rifle that is comfortable and predictable encourages better shooting, especially for people who don't live at the range. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Is the Mini-14 better than an AR-15? No. Not in raw performance per dollar. ARs are more modular, easier to customize, and generally more accurate out of the box. That's not controversial. But the real question is whether the Mini-14 needs to beat the AR-15 to justify its existence. And the answer is no. The Mini-14 fills a different role. It appeals to shooters who want a traditional-looking rifle that still fires a modern cartridge. It appeals to people in restrictive states. It appeals to ranchers, property owners, and shooters who value reliability and simplicity over customization. Another reason the Mini-14 gets labeled as junk is internet echo chambers. Once a narrative takes hold online, it reinforces itself. People repeat what they've heard, not what they've tested. Very few of the loudest critics have actually spent time shooting a Mini-14 carefully with realistic expectations. There's also the issue of early production models. Older Mini-14s did struggle with consistency due to barrel profiles and heat dispersion. Ruger has made improvements over the years, but reputations don't update as fast as manufacturing processes do. So what happens if you actually optimize a Mini-14? Add a quality optic. Bed the stock properly. Use ammunition the rifle prefers. Spend real time learning the trigger and recoil impulse. Under those conditions, consistent 2 MOA performance is not unrealistic. Some rifles may do even better. That's more than enough accuracy for defensive use, hunting at reasonable distances, and general-purpose shooting. Which brings us to the final verdict. The Ruger Mini-14 is not a legend in the precision shooting world. It is not a competition rifle. It is not the best value for pure accuracy. But it is also not junk. It is a reliable, practical rifle that performs far better than its reputation suggests when judged fairly. The real truth nobody admits is this. The Mini-14 isn't bad at what it does. People are just angry at it for not being something it was never meant to be. If you expect a modern match rifle, you will be disappointed. If you expect a durable, accurate enough, real-world rifle with classic styling and proven reliability, the Mini-14 makes a strong case for itself. So the next time someone says the Mini-14 can't shoot, ask a simple question. Have you actually tested one, Or are you repeating a story you heard online? Because when you put rounds on target instead of opinions in comments, the Mini-14 tells a very different story. Now we want to hear from you. Have you shot a Mini-14 before? What kind of accuracy did you see, and what were your expectations going in? Drop your experience in the comments. Real data beats rumors every time. If you enjoy honest, no-hype testing like this, make sure you're subscribed to Firepower. We don't defend rifles, and we don't attack them. We test them. Stay safe, shoot straight, and we'll see you in the next one.